shake it up. Shaking up the garbage we feed on. Shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin to reform. Even if just for a moment, to share the cloying and the suffocating skin. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Shake it up. Languishing in thoughts, lucidity doesn't benefit the greater cause. Driving blind and clawing wildly, wreaking havoc, banging heads against the wall. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up. So I am with the artist S.Everthorn, and I'm going to share a little and a wave to boot, So how are you, S.Everthorn?
Thank you, Ray. I'm very good, thank you. The weather is gorgeous.
Yes, it is beautiful, isn't it? And do you know what's really interesting to begin with is you and I just met at time of recording. I can't let that escape. They say small world. Blackpool is not. It's not a massive place, but neither is it a tiny place. There are lots of, places surrounding. I'm coming out of the flat that we currently live in, kind of whizzing down the stairs, off to the shops, and lo and behold, you're walking past, and I'm thinking, I recognise that person. And do I get to call you a shortened version of S.Everthorn? Can I use the first name of S? Because I think I can remember.
So S.
Seth.
Yeah,
Seth.
Seth. Yeah,
Seth.
S was shortened from Seth just to make life easier, because S.Everthorn is not the easiest thing to come out with all in one swoop.
So can I say Seth?
Seth is fine, yeah.
In terms of artist, S.Everthorn. And if anybody wonders why that is, who might even possibly know you by another name, then I'm going to tease and I'm going to say check out a previous episode.
Excellent.
Because it's still there. It's still on the YouTube channel. But
it's a good episode. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. So I'm going to say Seth. And I saw you, Seth, as you were walking past. I called out. You've got earbuds in.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. Then I had that moment where I thought I want to kind of sidle next to you, but in a non-threatening way that's going to make you jump. So I managed to do that and then kind of waved. And that's literally, where are we? Probably an hour and a half, couple of hours ago before we were recording.
Yeah.
And this is the other bit. I just listened to the entire A Different Child album. And then I felt very excited to kind of see you, knowing that I'm going to be here with you in a video call. And I just think I've got to share that, because I think, what are the chances of that happening? Because we also don't live in like adjacent streets.
No, we don't. No, it's a good whack of travel between the two of us, I believe. So
the passing of those two ships in the day, if you like, because it is a beautiful day, not ships in the night, was very, very coincidental. So there we are. So I've shared that now. So I want to bring us up to speed, because we are going to talk about A Different Child, because that's one of your biggest bodies of work to date. And I really, really feel it's important to share that, because I would 100% categorically strongly encourage people to listen to the album, because it's brilliant. Okay? So that's the beginning. I want to know, since our interview, which was last interview, was about close to 6 months ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Bring us up to speed with what's been happening for you since we last saw you. What type of things have been happening?
So a lot of it has been spent working on album 2, which I'm still working on. I have shall we say, one and a half songs ready.
Excellent.
I've got one song which I'm fairly fully happy with now,
Yeah.
which I just want to play a few more times, at least to myself, in the space of myself to just make sure I'm absolutely happy with it.
Yeah.
And then currently half a song which the the charity Mind were doing. Can't remember exactly if it was a running thing, but they'd shared a post which was having a coffee with my younger self or having a drink, having some kind of a meeting with my younger self. And I'd actually seen this trend pop up on Instagram with a few other people that I follow, and they'd done their own thing, and it's all extraordinarily beautiful. But it gave me the idea for a song that I could do for the album, because with album two, I am trying to take it in a direction. Much with album one, if anyone has listened to album one is very much a case of some present moments
Mm.
and then ruminations or just things that I refer to from my past and all tidbits of my life through those phases. And album two is very much a similar instance of that. It focuses on a period of time that sort of bridges, let's say, probably late high school to just after my second heart operation. I think somewhere within that range.
I've got
And
to ask you, Seth,
sure.
to share us a little bit more about the heart operation and just a quick little practical thing. Just when you're moving slightly, the
Oh, is
screen's
it
moving a little.
shaking?
Just to be aware of that. It's not an issue, but
I'll try and keep that monitoring.
I'm one of those people where I am. It almost makes it sound like I'm explaining that I am. I am interested in other people genuinely, but I'm not the type of person. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. Where I'm scrolling, trolling, even worse, through social media,
Hmm.
finding out the intricate details of people's lives. But I'd clearly not picked up on in the past about the heart operation.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
I think you've talked about that. So are you okay just telling us about that? Because
yeah, sure.
that's a big thing. That's a big thing.
So I grew up basically with a heart defect, which meant that when I was perhaps 2 or 3 years old, I had my first heart operation. Then it was a four-part heart operation to clear a bunch of problems. One of the problems within that was left to be monitored for most of my life, for up until probably I was about 19 or 20, where they then went, right, well, you're of the age now that we can try and fix this. So in 2012, I had my second heart operation, which was to put a skin tissue valve over a puncture, which has kept me in good stead quite some time. My understanding is that will need redoing at some point, but yeah, that's basically how I kicked things off in this world.
And how was that when you were younger? Because I know a different child does talk about elements. I'm trying to remember lyrical thoughts, but like the neighbour's garden, and
Yeah,
the um,
that's that was all because on top of that, I also have Asperger's, and I think a lot of some of the symbolism behind some of the things in those original songs do reflect on that as much as the heart condition. I think it was "Knocking on Death's Door"
yes,
was
yeah,
primarily
yeah,
the song about the fact that I had the heart condition, and whilst I don't remember a lot from around that time,
yeah.
unfortunately, my memory's not the best anyway, so there's probably a few things I don't remember. But certainly from around that time, it's more projecting back to imagining what it would have felt like
Yeah.
within that period of time.
Wow. It's taken on a whole different level because I have just listened to the album, and I decided I wanted to because I wanted to refresh my ears and my feelings into the album.
Mm.
So, and you're somebody who, the art of writing is you taking the time you need to take. I think things, of course, can be produced quickly, can't they, in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
I chose as the title, I wanted just to remind myself of it, which is sharing emotional identity through music. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
you've already opened up quite a lot in terms of formative years, including a very, very profoundly deep physical experience,
Yeah.
which is now still with you, that then you needed in 2012 to revisit to maintain your life and your physicality in a very, very honest and open way. So I'm very grateful for that. Asperger's, you've shared that previously and just now. And a different child, and listening to you with the Future Project album, you're writing very, very much from, and I am going to say it because it did come to me, and there's no pun intended at all, from a very, very open-hearted way. Now, I think in the sense of creativity, there's a possibility and an opportunity for all things. So this is my words, not yours. There is a market for the trite shite. So there is a market for that. There is a market for trite shite. And that's not me being worthy, kind of attaching value. Yes, we all like a bit of candy floss every now and again. So that's okay. That's not me saying now, every song has to have a deeper meaning. Yeah.
Mm.
So there is that. We can kind of just, loosen ourselves to and think, it's pink, it's fluffy, and it doesn't particularly, it's got a sing-along chorus, it's kind of like, it's that fizzy pop, it's that's okay. That's okay. But equally, there is, of course, an importance for opening to the experience of being human on a deeper level.
Mm.
And that's genuinely what I feel that you're sharing. Okay. So it makes sense to me why, of course, because you've got other things going on in your life as well, that you're taking time over album 2. So again, I'm going to share this message because I'm very passionate about this. People really, really need to take time to pour over album 1. And anything that can be done to do that, because it's somebody at my stage of life, I'm listening to it lyrically and there's so much value in it. There's so much value. I'm picking up on a couple of lyrics. I was listening to it in the car, so bear in mind, with health and safety in mind, I couldn't be making copious notes of lyrical thoughts, but there's tons. The source. But despite my gentle expressions, all is never well.
Yeah.
That is just like, wow. Despite my gentle expressions, all is never well.
I feel like for a long time, and possibly still do, it's always that kind of when you just have, how to explain it? So very much a sense of there's that key photo that, and I hate to sort of refer to this because it's not the best analogy, and I could find better. There was a photo of Chester Bennington before he passed away, lead singer of Linkin Park. Yeah. He is photographed in this moment with family, and he's smiley and he's happy. But sadly, Chester had been suffering for a really long time, and I think that photo was a day or a couple of days prior to his passing. And I can't put myself anywhere too close to that because I would be doing a disservice to anyone who is going through that completely. But there is an element of that in that I do feel like I come across to a lot of people quite a somewhat happy person in the sense that I quite like to be funny. I like to make people laugh, and I feel like I have tried to do that through some of the lyrics as well. But I almost feel like that's also the mechanism for me to get certain other deeper feelings across. So it's like trying to make you laugh at small lines like that, where it's like, oh, but also you go, oh God, right, okay, and it's that sort of anti-humor almost that's kind of like, yeah, this is me, this is the persona I've got, but like if you look closer, there is something a little bit more cutting there.
Yeah. And there is at times, not just in the source, but other songs. I'm trying to think of the word, but there's like a resignation laugh.
Uh,
Like that. There's a couple of songs where between the lines there's almost like a little throwaway, almost a slight understated laugh that is there's something deeper.
have a funny feeling if
Yeah,
it's the one I'm thinking of that it might be third base,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
possibly
yeah.
because that one I do remember just a couple of bits between a couple of the lines. I was like, oh yeah, that's a weird line, and then just laughed it off. I think.
Exactly. So that feeling of, and this is what I said to you earlier as well. It sounds like the album, A Different Child. You're actually writing it as you're singing it,
Okay.
which is no easy accomplishment because you've just shared what you've shared about the second album, which is you've written 1.5 songs. So
Yeah.
I can imagine, I can only imagine A Different Child from childhood, of course, took a long time to come to be. So I think what I'm sharing with you, and it's your vocal and a guitar predominantly.
Mm. Yeah.
There's no other kind of vast amounts of instrumentation going on which can kind of plug in gaps and holes.
Yeah.
It's
It was all done on, don't know the exact model name, but it was a Spire Studio, just a little machine that my dad and I had both actually been told about a long time ago, and yeah, it was all on that. So like some minor effects on the vocals,
yeah,
couple of effects on some of the guitars, but only where it kind of felt like maybe it warranted it. In my mind, it felt like it warranted it.
yeah. Exposed, exposed, but accessible.
Mm. Yes.
It's an album that I've listened to a few times now, and it's an album that I would listen to again and again and again.
Oh, good.
Because I know there are phrases, feelings that pop out every now and again,
Mm. Yeah.
it's just so welcoming emotionally. I'm doing this with my hands, so that's telling me something, and what that's telling me is I'm feeling something very, very deeply about this, and I can't overemphasize enough. And it's not because you're sat there; it's because of how I feel. It's a throwback in a good way to a time when songs were properly written.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
and I'm a songwriter, and I'm a songwriter. So I had feelings. I'm not comparing you to Bob Dylan. I'm not comparing you to John Lennon. But I had feelings of real, real deep, authentic, rooted songs that didn't need anything other than you and the guitar and your experience. And it's a shared experience. And I would need to sit with the album again and again and again and again to go into different places. Alleyways, okay? So I'm not a music critic, all right? I'm a songwriter, so I appreciate the art. I'm a singer, so I appreciate what I'm hearing. I'm a melody maker, very much so. Yeah, so I'm appreciating it on those levels, but also on a personal level because I keep listening to the lyrics
yeah.
and the messages are brilliant. So alleyways, I'm picking a couple of lines out. One I shared in the previous interview as well. Alleyways make for terrible conversation. I mean, that just within itself, it's that discomfort of you're in an alleyway.
Yeah.
There's an awkwardness, yeah. And the other line in the song that jumps out to me, I hate how much this hurt became my inspiration.
Mm.
So, without you breaking the illusion of songwriting, talk a little bit about Alleyways, if that's okay, because I've shared what my feeling is as I'm listening to it. What?
Yeah. Alleyways is one of those ones where I am hugely grateful that it came to be.
Mhm.
I am hugely grateful with like yourself and others who I think have kind of cemented that Alleyways of the rest of the album is one of the not we won't say better. I personally think it's one of the better things I've written. Hopefully there will be better after that. Who knows? I do think on a slight divergence that Alleyways is probably more on par with the sort of mood, shall we say, and the vibe that I'm looking for
Got
album
you.
two.
Got you.
But there will be other things that album two will cover in that respect. Alleyways, though, is also one of those ones where, yes, unfortunately, the context behind it doesn't make me feel great because it comes from a point in time where I was not my best self.
Mm.
I had not been my best self probably for a good couple of years, if not longer. And it took time after that to really get into bettering myself yeah, just in bettering myself. And I think as part of the process of writing album one, and I think I said this the last time, there's very much a sort of self therapy to it in
Mm.
that I'm I know I acknowledge that I did it wrong because I got the title names down for the songs first
Yeah.
before I started writing lyrics. And then on the back of that, I thought, okay, so what can this be a topic about? Okay, let's focus it on this. Let's write lyrics around that. So Alleyways had very much a different feel to it. I almost describe it as like a sort of almost a bit like Avalanche by Leonard Cohen. It's got this minor chord
Mm.
Spanish song kind of sounding this dun, 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 and that was the original version of it was a bit more like that. The lyrics were, I mean, the album one itself is quite wordy because I feel like if I want to get something out, I need to say it in a certain way
Mm.
in order for it to make sense. Some of album one I appreciate makes no sense without proper context, but like the way the original version of Alleyways came out was very much just wordy. It was too wordy. And then I'd listened to, I think it was Poison Oak by Bright Eyes, and I loved the chord structure that was behind that and sort of developed it off the back of that and thought, actually, this sounds much better and I can make the lyrics sound a little bit better as well. It comes from a point in time where, yes, it was just I wasn't my best self, and in looking back at it, I want people to enjoy. I do want people to enjoy my music, but I know that with Alleyways, it's like I really want you to hear this song, and I also really want you to like it. But at the same time, I know what a sort of double-edged sword it can kind of be at times for playing it.
That's incredible because I genuinely thought earlier on about the double-edged sword. I really, really did. And I think that's, for me, it's a very personal album,
Yeah.
but it's not self-serving. And it's accessible. And this is where I can only express me, because I can't express anybody who hasn't listened to A Different Child, of course, is this lyrical thought that you're saying, wordy. You use the term wordy. There are so many phrases and so many lines in the album that I know there will be expressions that will speak on behalf of others.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that for me is the couple that I've picked out, and they're the ones I can remember. But there were others as I was listening, genuinely as I'm listening, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, that
yeah.
it's this relatability. And this is where back to some people do feel candy floss, pink and fluffy, and everything's boom, 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 dancing, 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 and that's okay. But I think you mentioned yourself a moment ago in the appearance and the face that we might share, and how it is that we feel deeper down.
Yeah.
One thing I learned, by the way, and I'm sure you know this anyway. I checked out. I checked out in TikTok. If I were to share a post, is S.Everthorn music available for me to share with an image?
Okay.
And the answer to that is yes.
Oh, good. It's
So,
on TikTok then.
so I know in the future I will be sharing a variety of images that include your music. And the
Oh, thank
reason that
you.
I will be doing that is because the messages are so important. And you talked about what you just talked about, and the charity mind. I'm personally myself working a lot at the moment in my own writing, my own experience of life,
Mm.
opening up more to those deeply fragile experiences that I've faced throughout my close to 60 years on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And the bits where I've tried to hide who I am, because I felt that was better for other people and also some form of survival for me. And when we had the 2 interviews we've had so far and this one, it's opened me up to, even at my stage of life, of thinking, why am I still pretending?
Yeah.
So I feel with what you're doing, it is very, very important. Of course, yes, for you, but I also feel there's a great opportunity of shared emotion for others.
Mm. Well,
And
I'm glad that there is some relatability to the lyrics because I must admit, when I sort of got them out in the end, I kind of thought, yeah, there's a few things. I don't know that I had any which I thought were more specifically suited for other people. Maybe the conifers and reptiles is very much the, I won't say homage, but was the experience of high school in a slightly more eccentric way. I feel like, yeah, that above a few of them is probably one that I feel like a few people could relate to almost for like their experiences of high school if they were going through the same sort of thing with having people around them who were temporary friends of a making or just people who cause difficulties from time to time. I don't know.
I wonder, I don't think there's any answer to this. I wonder how many people feel different.
What, from listening to the
Just, no,
music or
just generally. I mean, people in life. I wonder how many people within themselves think, is is it me? Is it me?
yeah,
But of course, because not many people want to share that, because they don't
well,
want
of
to be
course,
perceived to
yeah.
be different. If you get me.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's what's so beautiful about any of these kinds of art forms. Anyone who has that freedom of expression through music, through art, through spoken word, through anything that they like, I think it's beautiful that there is a medium
Yeah.
that people can turn to. And like you said yourself about like certain things that you want to hide from other people. Like,
Yeah.
and with alleyways, there is still that degree of hiding because I think, as I do still now, I think there are a lot of things that I'm still not comfortable talking about from that period of time,
Yeah.
from perhaps before that, perhaps even a few times after that. But what's beautiful about being able to write music then is that if I felt comfortable enough to touch on that in some way, that it meant that there was a piece of that out of me in the open, allowed to breathe, and for me to recognize it and go, that's there. I know it happened. Now I need to move on from it because there's so much more life has to offer me and I need to focus on that. Then I think it's just if I can do it, anyone can because I struggled for a long time just purely from procrastination, just trying to sit down and go, right, let's do this. It took a long
Yeah.
time.
And it does take time, but I think on a fuller level, back to the theme, sharing emotional identity through music.
Mm,
But because it I think when we're open, which it takes, um, yeah, there's fear attached to it. There's concern. I wonder how this is going to be perceived, and that's just from a musical point of view. Never mind the fact that you're diving so deeply into personal emotional stuff.
yeah.
I feel there is genuinely. It's not to try and make it worthy. It isn't. If I'm in any way coming across in that way, those who are with us, I dispute that because that's not how I'm feeling. But I feel in the experience of being human,
Mm,
which we do share, we are. This is a great opportunity for people to listen. You know, as much as it's therapeutic for you,
mm.
listening to you is therapeutic for me.
Oh, bad, bad.
That's it. That's honestly it. Because it is, because I'm listening and I'm thinking, I want to listen to this again because it feels like somebody's really, really sharing not just their emotion, but it's speaking for me. And that's how I would, in some way, describe a different child. It's absolutely incredible. And it doesn't need bells and whistles and some looped drum track and an intricate bass line and yeah, and again I'm not dissing me or anybody else in that matter. It's really really fully grown. Ironically, a different child is a fully grown album,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
and I would strongly encourage others to find it. So S.Everthorn, that's where it will be found. Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube. I've already, I love it. I've already touched on TikTok as well. Maybe that might be a future tense. So tell us a little bit about what's next for you, where you want other people to find you. What's you've talked about an album. What's on the horizon? What are the plans?
So in terms of getting out and about, I say recently, not that long ago, I had a gig at the HMV, the local HMV in Blackpool Town Centre.
Excellent.
Thoroughly enjoyed that actually. I will definitely be looking at doing that again if they will have me,
Yeah.
because that was actually a really nice, relaxed environment for it. Um, in terms of upcoming, there is this Saturday, although depending on when this gets released, it will have been and gone. So it's this Saturday is a charity gig for Tears Crown,
Ah, okay.
run by some of the people for Tears Crown. And I will be one of five performing artists, I believe, on the night, just helping to raise money for that cause. That will be at the Talbot in town. And besides that, just working on album two. I do have a load of. I have a SoundCloud where I posted a lot of my covers under the same name, so it will still be under S.Everthorn, and it's the cover of a different child, so he's readily available to find. But there are a number of covers that I put on there, and then I reached capacity and haven't gone back. So I said to myself, right, well, I still have this list of songs that I want to do. So I am hoping to periodically put more covers onto Instagram, which is my primary
Excellent.
social media account.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Um, Depending on how TikTok goes.
Yeah.
If I look at TikTok and get onto there, then I'll probably boost those on there. Um,
When you do, Seth, so I'm going to put in the description
okay,
Instagram primarily.
thank
So I'm
you.
going to
Yeah.
put Instagram link in so people can find you because then they'll know if you're announcing a future gig,
Hmm.
releases,
Yeah.
other stuff. When you get to the point of TikTok, please also likewise just drop me a WhatsApp message, and I'll update the description
Okay.
so that
Sure. Yeah.
in the future when that happens, then those that perhaps are more TikTok bound, shall we say, then they can find you there as well, and I can update the YouTube discussion that we're having now with a fresh lick of paint with TikTok going in there as well. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I
Brilliant.
think it's so important. So might be challenging for you
Uh-huh.
because I know you're grounded in humility. I know I might have come across as slightly gushy, possibly to some, but do you know what? I'm not going to use the word, but I don't give a shit because I know how good the album is. I want you to encourage people to listen to A Different Child. So, what message would you share as S.Everthorn, the creator of A Different Child? Why should people listen to the album? Because I definitely attach a real strong encouragement.
I grew up with a very eclectic household of music, um, mainly traditional folk because my dad is Irish, so I got a lot of folk influence on that front. If you like folk, it's folk. It's basically alternative folk. Um, Again, I've touched on the fact that it's self-therapeutic for me to be writing about my emotions. And again, if I can encourage anyone to listen to my music and perhaps on the back of that go, well, if he can write about those sorts of things and he can write it in such a way, then maybe I can be just as artistic about it as well. Then that would be amazing. Um, it has it's raw, but it has elements of that level of humor that perhaps you'd find from the Mountain Goats. It's got soft levels like Iron and Wine. It's got a bit of gravel to the lyrics and the humor, I suppose, that you'd probably find from Tom Waits, who is another big influence of mine because God, I love Tom Waits. Um, yeah, I think if you're into all of those things, great. Um, Brighter, I'm just listing off similar artists at this point that I feel is like Bright Eyes, Keaton Henson, the Mountain Goats. I've already said all these people are people and sounds that I've tried to aspire to. And if you're into them, then great, because that is the realm I've tried to put myself into. Um,
Fantastic.
and
Thank you.
I fully appreciate anyone and everyone who listens to the music.
And we will be sharing through the Creative Shake Up podcast through this particular interview, but also little clips of this interview and future tense. I genuinely will, because now I know it's there because I checked out earlier. Some of the posts I'm sharing with elements of the songs on the album. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, and keep us
Right.
posted. Keep us posted because I'd like to include that in future episodes of links. People go to the description, and there'll be a growing list, including in the not too distant future album too as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get cracking. The guitar's here, it's right next to me. I'll get working on it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you, Ray.
Take care. Yeah.
Take care.